Morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out to today's very exciting announcement on a big day for the Ontario Hockey League. To get us started, I'd like to invite OHL Chairman of the Board, Mr. Tim Lukenda, for some remarks.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. We're here in the Tim Horton Theatre of the Hockey Hall of Fame to announce a historic transition in leadership of the Ontario Hockey League. My name is Tim Lukenda. I'm the chair of the OHL Board of Governors and the president of the Sioux Greyhounds. With me today are David Branch and Bryan Crawford. Thank you all for taking the time to be with us today, both in person and online. When Dave Branch announced last August that this past season would be his last as commissioner, the first thought that crossed my mind was great appreciation for his remarkable 45-year tenure. The second thought that crossed my mind was, oh damn, what do we do now? Without a doubt, replacing a legend like Dave Branch is no small feat. Dave has had a remarkable impact on both our league as well as the game of hockey. During his tenure, he has led us through an enormous amount of change, and through it all, he has kept his focus on player development, both on and off the ice, and the player experience. To fill these incredibly large shoes, the board struck a search committee, and we engaged Odgers Bernston to assist us in this process. Following an extensive international search, we are pleased to say that we have found the ideal candidate in Bryan Crawford to lead our organization into the future. Bryan comes to us with great experience and leadership credentials in the world of sports and sports business that are highly transferable to his new role with the Ontario Hockey League. And so we're here today to symbolically pass the torch of leadership of what we believe is the greatest hockey development league in the world. I'd like to start by calling on David Branch to say a few comments and then to introduce the next commissioner of our league. Over to you, David.
Want me to go up here? Thanks. Good morning, everyone. And first of all, Tim, thank you for those kind words. And to you and the selection committee, I admired the work, effort, and consideration that you put into the process. I always felt that was such a very important step to be taken, and you've clearly done that. I had the opportunity to meet Bryan really for the first time, to sit down for a couple of hours and trade stories yesterday. And I must say, very, very impressed. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity for our league to advance and move forward. Like Tim, though, a couple of very quick thank yous to the owners that are here today, the OHL staff that are here today, who never taught me how to shut my phone off. And believe me, they'll attest that, hey, Terry, can you, what do I do here? Josh, I need help with my laptop. So that's another signal that it was important to have change, because technology is not one of my strengths. But so to the people here today, thank you. To my staff, you guys were the backbone, are the backbone. Tim touched on the Hockey Hall of Fame. Thank you for their cooperation. No better place. This is the cathedral of hockey. Many of us would agree. So it's fitting that we are here for a very special announcement presentation. Firstly, let me just welcome Bryan and his wife Catherine to the OHL family. You're going to enjoy it immensely. And I'm privileged and honored at this time to introduce to you the new commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League, Bryan Crawford.
I was told that if I got referred to as kid, that I was in. And he just whispered in my ear, "Go get him, kid." So thank you, David, for the warm introduction, and thank you all of you for joining us here today and online as well. I'm incredibly honored to be named the next commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League and follow in the footsteps of a truly extraordinary leader whose dedication, commitment, and passion to this league has been unparalleled. David, I want to say that what you have built is truly special, and the foundation that we have to work from, incredible. And for that, I want to say thank you. I want to thank Tim and our Board of Governors, some of you of which are here today, for giving me this incredible honor and allowing me and entrusting me with the responsibility for leading this league forward, protecting its integrity, and fortifying ourselves as the best developmental league in the world. When I was a young rep hockey player growing up in Hamilton, like so many other young players, I dreamt of being part of the OHL. I never could have imagined that it would have been as commissioner. It's a full circle moment for a kid that turned out to be a better football player than he was a hockey player. The OHL is the greatest developmental league in the world, proven by the 2,510 Ontario Hockey League players that have been selected in the NHL draft since 1969. That is the most by any league in the world. The success of our league in developing elite players continues today with over 200 OHL graduates in the NHL this season alone. We need look no further than the 19 OHL alumni that are currently playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, including both head coaches. We continue to be a leading developer of talent for Hockey Canada and so many national teams, sending dozens of players a year to these various programs to compete and wave their flags. We're also the #1 developer of incredible people for youth sport, where 228 OHL graduates utilized their OHL scholarships to play this past season, 14 of which were part of the undefeated UNB Reds University Cup Championship team. In total, OHL clubs invest more than $3.2 million this past year in the educational program, supporting the goals of 331 players in universities, colleges, and trade schools. Being the world's premier developmental league also extends far beyond the ice, with support programs like the CMHA Talk Today program, which celebrated its 10th year of existence this past season and has become a model for sports organizations across the country. The OHL Onside program, which is a world-class program dedicated to educating our players about the importance of respectful relationships between young men and young women. My long-term vision for this league includes a player focus while striving to elevate our position as a uniquely community-centric sports and entertainment property. We'll build on the league's legacy and introduce new strategies for enhancing our operations, our fan experience, and our commercial activities. We will continue to enhance our amazing player development programs like those that I've just mentioned while further advancing our hockey operations. And we'll foster a culture of innovation and excellence, which will be a priority at the forefront of everything that we do. But not just in hockey, in sport as a whole, across the country and globally. I look forward to working with the Board of Governors on a number of key priorities, strengthening the relationship across the league between our teams, players, officials, and all of our stakeholders, enhancing our marketing and communications so that we can grow our fan base and increase engagements both inside our arenas and across our digital platforms. We'll optimize our commercial operations to ensure our foundation is as strong today as it will be tomorrow, allowing us to reinvest in the game and grow our league and the game of hockey. We'll expand our development programs while ensuring that we establish a culture where everyone in the Ontario Hockey League family can thrive. And we will ensure that our league remains the best-in-class option for young players and their families in pursuit of their hockey and academic goals. It's an amazing privilege to be part of one of the great sports institutions in our country. A league that is not only special in its product, but more importantly, special in its mission. While the OHL is the #1 developmental league in the world, our mission is so much greater than simply developing premier hockey talent. It is about developing people into outstanding citizens who become leaders in our communities. And it is about serving those communities and acting as a catalyst to strengthen, support, and inspire them. And it is in these missions where I am so excited to have the opportunity to make an impact. In closing, I'd like to say that I am so confident in the future and the opportunities ahead of the Ontario Hockey League. I look forward to visiting all of our communities, which I'll start to do this coming fall, and meet with all of our teams, players, fans, alumni, parents, billets, league staff, our partners, media members, and all of our stakeholders who make the OHL family so very special. I also look forward to working with our partners in hockey, including Dan McKenzie and Dan Neer and Mario Cecchini, who I have had opportunities to speak with already prior to even starting my role. I also look forward to working with the National Hockey League, U Sport once again, Hockey Canada, and minor hockey programs across the province, the country, and North America as we continue to grow the game that we love. Thank you, all of you, for allowing me the privilege of serving as commissioner, and I look forward to working as we write a new chapter for the Ontario Hockey League.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome. At this time, we will take questions. If you do have a question, please just wait for Daryl, who has the microphone, to come around to you, just to make sure we capture your audio. Terry Doyle from Your TV.
For Tim, just talk about maybe the uniqueness of this process. No one on the board, I'm sure, has had that experience, unless they were, of course, on the board back in 1979 and just going through this.
Thank you, Terry. Yes, it was certainly, to think about a process that would lead to finding the appropriate successor to a guy like Dave was a bit daunting when we started. We were very pleased as we got into it with the breadth of interest in the position. People, from conventional backgrounds related to a position like this to people that had varied experiences in business or other areas, athletics and others. So it was a very interesting exercise to get to meet with, to interview a wide range of players, to discuss their thoughts and views and perspectives on the league, which is always nice to see through outsiders' lenses, and then to arrive at a process that ultimately led us to an ideal candidate like Brian was a really rewarding process. And I think the whole committee found it to be energizing in terms of a chance to brag a little bit about our league, but also acknowledge the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
John Morosi with NHL Network.
Thanks, Josh. Congratulations, Brian. I wonder your thoughts on the diverse nature of your background and the different sports that you've worked in. What are the lessons that you can bring from outside the world of hockey to the world of hockey and use that creativity to further the OHL?
Yeah, thanks, John. What I've learned about working in so many sports, starting my career in football, but really starting my career in multi-sport in the university setting, is that the challenges aren't unique. They're not necessarily about the type of equipment you're wearing, the playing surface that you're playing on. They are people challenges, they're culture challenges, they're business challenges. And I think that what I've been able to bring to each of the places that I've been able to work is a lens that's pretty wide in scope and able to look at challenges and opportunities in a creative way and understand that there's others that have tread there before us, and that there are things that we can learn and gather from simply looking at those best practices, understanding where others have maybe fallen short and the mistakes that they've made, so that we can try to avoid those same results. And so I think that each of those stops, there's obviously tremendous parallels between Ontario University athletics, where I really started my career, and here in the OHL, in terms of 20 institutions, 20 franchises in very similar markets, very similar dynamics, with the interests of each institution and each franchise in this case. So, I think that a number of those things that I can draw from and that I've learned that I think just frame the way that I look at challenges and opportunities and solutions and try to be creative and And I've also, learned through that. And I joined golf, and I'd never played golf before. They gave me the biggest golf tournament in the country and one of the biggest in the world. And I play pretty well now, but not at the time. But what I did in starting that was understand that where my limitations lie, and that there were people that knew more about the inside the ropes, and in this case, more about hockey operations. And they need to be empowered and entrusted and supported to do their jobs and deliver excellent results. So I think those are some of the things that I've been able to gather over my time.
Kevin McGran from the Toronto Star over here.
Hi, thanks a lot. For you, Brian, hockey has all sorts of issues, inclusivity, the expense of the sport. Within the OHL, you have your own issues, such as the NCAA perhaps coming after your players and stuff like that. Where do you see your priorities in terms of addressing, what's your priorities in terms of coming in here and maybe changing something or adding something or subtracting something?
Well, certainly the number one priority right off the bat is listening, learning, and understanding. That's my job to start. As I mentioned, I'm very much looking forward to going to all of our communities, not just meeting with our teams, but all of the community members that are part of our team and are part of our OHL family, the extended family. So that's priority one, as an incoming leader, that you have to make sure that you really gather all of the information, have an understanding of people's goals and motivations, what's driving them, the challenges and opportunities ahead, the history, learning and understanding the history. I'll never have the institutional knowledge that David does, but I can work hard to gain a good, deep understanding of what has come before and how that sets us up for the future. I think that it is imperative for us to be forward-looking, to not rest on our laurels of being, the primary sport in Canadian life. We have to be progressive, we have to be active, and ensure that we are constantly striving to improve our game, improve our league. I think that the Ontario Hockey League has a great responsibility to be a leader for all hockey in our country, and certainly here in Ontario and Michigan and Pennsylvania. And I think that if we just rest on the fact that we are the number one developmental league in the world, we won't be the number one developmental league in the world for very long. And basketball and soccer will surpass hockey in terms of participation, and families that choose to use hockey as the way for them to educate their children and learn about all of the skills that sport teaches us and hockey teaches us to make them great citizens. And so we need to be aggressive in ensuring that we maintain our position by looking forward, by continually seeking to improve and strengthen ourselves.
Additional questions out there, anyone? We do have a number of remote media attending today and quite a list of questions, so I can sift through some of those. A reminder to those tuning in remotely, please do submit any additional questions you have through the chat dialogue. We'll begin with one that, Brian, is kind of relevant to your past. Mike Postovit from Global Kingston asks, did you ever attend any Frontenacs games while you were attending Queens?
The answer to that is yes. We did a number of integrations between the football team and the hockey team at the time. And my very, very best friend from Queens, who's now a very prominent Major League Baseball agent, actually did the play-by-play for the Frontenacs for the 4 years that we were there. A guy by the name of Dan Vertlieb, tremendous sports mind that is transplanted to California now. But yeah, Frontenacs games, in the old barn at the time, so we didn't have the luxury of the new arena. But yeah, Frontenacs were a big part in, that's what was in Kingston. Frontenacs and the Gales, and it was a wonderful place to spend some formative years.
Follow-up from Mike. This is obviously a new chapter for you, but not an undertaking you haven't done before, as is your experience in basketball as well as golf. What gives you confidence that this role in hockey is going to be a good fit?
Yeah, I've spent the last 20 years of my career, working towards the opportunity to take a leadership position that had as much importance as this one does. That's what excited. I've mentioned it as a Canadian sports institution, and that's the way I think about. I think about sport holistically. I've worked in a number of different sports, most of them not necessarily sports that I was a participant in as a younger person. And I think that the opportunity to have been a professional athlete, to work on the collective bargaining side of professional sports, to then work in the academic sports setting in university sport, in multi-sport in university. 23 sports for men and women, 10,000 student athletes. The OUA is a big, big animal. To have that opportunity to work in leadership there, to work in building business at Canada Basketball and developing a business plan and a strategy that allowed Canada Basketball to catch up to a place where it can better support the incredible success of the athletes now, which they have been able to carry on and do, which I'm very proud that has been the legacy and what has happened there. And then at Golf Canada to take a great sport property in our country and take it to a place that it had never been before, to be part of the golf world, and which is an incredible community in Canada. And I think all of those sorts of things are some of the things that have framed my thinking and framed my approach, and what I think will help us be successful here.
Mike Davies from the Peterborough Examiner asks, is it a daunting assignment trying to fill the shoes of a man who has held this post for 45 years and done so with respect from across the hockey world?
There's no question. David is a legend. I don't have a vote, but he's a Hockey Hall of Famer. There's nobody that has had such impact on so many, Canadians. And we're not just talking about the guys that have gone on to the NHL. The people that have gone on to be doctors and lawyers and accountants and firefighters and policemen. That, one of the things I was struck by over the last week or so since the announcement was the number of people that reached out in the hundreds of texts and calls, and the number of them that have a connection to the OHL. One of my very close friends from Golf Canada, a colleague, but an incredible friend now, he is a Sioux Greyhound fan through and through, and he has lived in Guelph for 25 years. And that red and white, go Hounds, he was like so excited about it. And I would say that has come out in spades. The fandom and the connection to community that so many people have, and I think that is a great opportunity to just continue to pull that out. To the question of following in Dave's footsteps, I have to be my own leader. I have to have my own vision, my own ways for dealing with people. I have to earn the respect and trust of the hockey community by focusing on collaboration, engagement, and results-driven excellence. And those are the things that I need to do stepping into this role. I had the wonderful fortune of following the footsteps of a 43-year leader at Golf Canada a gentleman by the name of Bill Paul. And that experience, if it's even half what this experience is, I am incredibly blessed to have had those opportunities. And I think David and I are going to get along swimmingly. He called me kid at the start, so I'm in.
This one, a bit of a two-part question asked by separate journalists. The first comes from Brad Cocciamiglio with Sioux Today, and it's for Commissioner Branch. The question, having just cited the 45 years you've been serving as commissioner of the OHL, what's been the toughest thing for the league to go throughout your tenure, and what contributes to that?
Well, the quick answer, I don't want to say the easy answer. The most recent was COVID. And when you look back on the 17th of March, 2020, and we had to just halt our season and pause our playoffs only to find that we would lose the entire next season, was unprecedented. And it was incredible what we went through, but it in some ways, and it's, and I really believe in this, it was an issue that galvanized our league. And I've always found this, in the time of challenges and issues, we come together. And we're 20 teams, and we became one through COVID. And we did what was best for the players, not put them in a precarious position. We recognize some of the shortcomings and challenges it would create for our players, but that was by far the most incredible experience, just as a citizen, notwithstanding the role that we played as the OHL, as Brian has so well articulated, the presence and what we mean to our communities, what we mean to our players. So that was a most interesting, challenging matter that hopefully none of us ever have to go through again.
The second part of that question comes back from Mike Davies in Peterborough, and that question for Brian is, as you survey the landscape coming into this role, what do you view as the biggest challenge facing the OHL right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually probably alluded to some of that answer previously. The biggest challenge is to make sure that we are never satisfied, that we're constantly active. We face competition for players, we face competition for eyeballs, we face competition for markets, and being able to take that competition head on to make sure that we're, I've always been a believer that with really good strategy and really good creativity, you can build programs that speak for themselves. And I think that that's what you need to do to be able to sell our league to all of the people that we need to sell it to, because that's what we're in the business of doing. We are developing people, and we are selling what it is that we are doing to both the people that are participating in it as a player, a coach, a staff member, and then the people that are choosing to support our league, to spend their money with us. Those are the sorts of things that we need to focus on constantly, and that's the biggest challenge. If we are not continually evolving and developing our programming, and we're not building on the legacies of the things that are already in place and making them better, we will lose ground to other leagues when it comes to recruiting players. If we are not enhancing our fan experience, we will lose ground to other entertainment properties and other options. And if we are not embedded and constantly connected to our communities, they'll find other things to care about. And so that to me is the biggest challenge, beyond any other kind of individual specific challenge, the holistic thinking of, we need to constantly be bettering ourselves to remain relevant and competitive.
A few questions from Ryan Payette with the London Free Press. The first being, Brian, do you intend to be involved in disciplinary matters the same way that David has been?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a question that I'll answer once having an opportunity to really delve into our policies and procedures and our history, and think about that, review that with the Board of Governors, and think about how best to continue to handle discipline as we go forward. I have strong belief in our Constitution and our policies that are in place. Those are also things that we need to make sure are extremely well written, detailed, transparent, that people understand the process and procedures, how decisions are made. And I think those are the sorts of things that we need to continually be evaluating to ensure that they're being handled in an appropriate way that's fair and upholds the integrity of the league.
Additionally, from Ryan, and this is actually a question that's quite relevant to the London Knights, who have used this as a development model for a few years now, how do you see the role of the Junior B level, specifically the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, in terms of developing OHL players in the future?
Yeah, I mean, incredibly important. There is a long list of players, both current and past, that have come through, Junior B system, Midwest Junior B leagues, and as you mentioned, London, that have become stars in our league and stars in the NHL. I think that they are a critical partner going forward. There are great opportunities for partnership and strengthening partnership with them, as well as other leagues, across Ontario and into the United States. We depend on obviously grassroots and minor hockey to develop players, to develop coaches, to develop officials. We need to take an active role in supporting them and providing leadership as well. So.
Lastly, from Ryan, he asks, what do you see as the GTA's role in the Ontario Hockey League with Mississauga's recent relocation to Brampton?
Yeah, we have incredible ownership in the Steelheads and Elliot Kerr, someone who I've known for some time now, and I think that the greater Toronto Hamilton area, needs to be a supporter and a driver of the OHL. We have fans all throughout this region that supports, as I mentioned, mentioned Dan living in Guelph, but others that of course live in these communities that are from, maybe traditional OHL communities. This is the center of so much of the development of young hockey players. So it needs to be, central to our league and central to being part of our OHL family.
A couple of questions from Jared Brown with the Hockey News. The first comes in the form of relating to more specific hockey operations questions, such as how open to you are you to some progressive rule changes that we see in, say, the Champions Hockey League in Europe, such as if a shorthanded team scores, the minor penalty against them ends. A minor penalty will be served if a goal is scored while a delayed penalty is pending. Just some maybe unconventional rules that at least the game for the most part in North America hasn't really seen. How open-minded are you to those?
Yeah, I mean, rule sets that are seemingly aimed at increasing offense, and certainly I think that sports as a whole across many different sports have looked at opportunities for changing their rule sets. Major League Baseball being a great example, maybe one of the most traditional sports that there is. Adding the pitch clock. Making changes to their game to improve their game. These are the sorts of things that we as sports leaders need to consistently and constantly evaluate and consider. What ways are available to us to improve our game, to improve the excitement level for fans, to improve player safety, to make sure that the game is progressing. Not to say that any of those particular rules are priorities of mine. Those are the sorts of things that is my responsibility to ensure our hockey ops teams lead and develop and consider and evaluate, along with all of our clubs as we move forward. But it's a sport continually evolves. Sport does not stay the same. We just had a great conversation. We had a great conversation about two rule sets from the shootouts to that were that have been implemented during your tenure as chair, and that's the reality. The NHL is changing, our league has changed, hockey has changed, and we need to make sure that we stay on the forefront of producing the best product that we can.
A couple more here, and one more from Jared Brown with the Hockey News. He asks, as I'm sure Brian, the QMJHL has cracked down on fighting in their league. He asks, what's your stance on fighting in junior hockey as it stands right now?
Yeah, well, I think the most important priority is player safety, without question. To my previous comments, we've seen hockey change. There is a bigger focus and value placed on skill. Our league has certainly made some incredible strides towards player safety in all aspects of the game, not just fighting. And so I think that, along with all other rules, these are things that we need to continually, evaluate, monitor, explore, understand. We need to use data to make good decisions. Data-driven decisions is something that I'm, a big believer in, and ensuring that, our product is the best product that it can be, and that it's the best opportunity for young players and their families to, advance their goals in hockey and life.
Two more in the queue. One from Adam Kirschenblatt with TSN. What are some areas of growth you can see the OHL taking, specifically a greater reach through new media, perhaps expansion? And do you see challenges to those things? He's just curious about general progress that you may have in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about, I mentioned earlier, our, probably one of our best strengths and competitive advantages is the community-centric sport and entertainment property. We are in communities across the province, Michigan, Pennsylvania, that are amongst the most critical thing to those communities. And we have such an opportunity and such a connection with those communities. That is a tremendous asset and advantage for partners that we want to work with in the future. That is an asset for thinking about how we deliver our games, how we deliver an entertainment product to our fans, how we invite and inspire new fans to come to our games, families. Those are some of the sorts of things that we did and that I led well at the RBC Open and with Golf Canada. That it is a very traditional sport, of course, and we had to think about how do we make sure that the game of golf is growing and is changing in a way that is respectful of the traditions of the game while also being appealing to fans that have different priorities. You mentioned, new media and ensuring that we are investing in our brand, that we are investing in the development of our brand and our marketing strategies, and that we are connecting in meaningful ways in the ways that people are connecting now. And we have to continually balance that, knowing that we have a diverse fan base that will engage with our league in many different ways. But the opportunity for storytelling in the Ontario Hockey League is absolutely endless. Take a minute to just scroll through Google and some of the community initiatives that teams are undertaking and the players are undertaking. There is so much storytelling that can be done, and that is why people support teams. That is why they love sport. They get inspired by the stories behind, the X's and O's and what happens on the field of play. So I think that there, is a lot of opportunity, and I think that that's where we start, is drawing it out, drawing the ideas out, and then being willing to take risks, try things. I'm a believer that you can try something, and if it doesn't work, you go back to what you're doing before. But if you don't try, you don't know that it's going to be successful. We turned a par 3 on a golf course into a hockey hole, and that was something that many people thought was absolutely crazy. And it has been one of the most important things that's happened to the RBC Canadian Open, Golf Canada, golf in this country, the PGA Tour. And I commend everybody who was willing to step up and actually do that. So.
A light one to finish us off. Ted Lehman is the radio voice of the Niagara Ice Dogs. He asks, I have a friend who has your CFL card. When you come to St. Catharines, would you be willing to sign autographs?
$10 for autographs, $20 for pictures. No, of course. That's very kind. I look forward to getting to all of our communities and St. Catharines, you said, right?
Yeah.
Ice Dogs. St. Catharines, certainly look forward to meeting all of our fans in St. Catharines. And if someone has somehow found a Jogo CFL card with my name on it, I'd be more than happy to.
Very good. Well, thank you for everybody's attendance today. We will have further opportunity for questions with these three gentlemen here along the sidewall in front of the backdrop for media in attendance wishing to ask some. There will also be food available outside that raising door in just a moment. But before we proceed, Commissioner Branch has a special presentation for incoming Commissioner Bryan Crawford. Maybe just out, I guess you can do it there.
Tim, here, you should be part of this as well. So, Brian, C, Captain Commissioner, C, Captain Commissioner, welcome to the OHL. And
this is great.
Wishing you everything.
Thank
but
you.
Success.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, everybody.